and their parents at Mississippi State. About 4 months ago, I met with our players, and we went through a tough time in February of this season. And I told them at that point in time that they could either come together and make a negative into a positive, or it could just be a negative all season long. But those players who spent 18 or so years with those parents, those rock-solid households, came together and created one of the most awe-inspiring years of Mississippi State baseball history. And I'm just so proud of them and what they accomplished. I'm so proud of our coaching staff and what they accomplished. I want to thank Gary Henderson quickly as well. I've known Gary for a long time. I know Gary has had support from our community, and I appreciate that. I spent more time with Gary Henderson at the University of Kentucky than I spent with my wife and my children. And I can tell you, I have nothing but positive things to say about Gary Henderson. But when I was charged with making this decision and moving our program forward, I couldn't allow personal feelings. I couldn't allow friendship. I couldn't let anything interfere with the fact that we had to move this program forward for the next 10 years. And that's what I was committed to doing. I want to mention something about this process. I spent a lot of time talking to people that I consider to be the experts in college baseball. And I'm talking about head coaches, former head coaches, talking heads in the athletic community, people who follow college baseball every day. And when I had those conversations, Chris Lemonis' name came up every single time. You know, a good friend of mine sent me a quote, and I think this is really appropriate here, and this comes from Steve Jobs. A lot of people might think this came from Henry Ford as well, but Steve Jobs, who's a pioneer in many, many ways, said this. He said, you know, you don't want to provide people with what they want. You want to provide them with what they're going to need, even if they don't know they're going to need it. We're going to need this guy, and he's going to lead this program for a long period of time. Chris Lemonis is a recruiting machine. Every time his name is mentioned from coast to coast, folks will say, well, that's the best recruiter in the country. When you look at what he did at the Citadel, where young men have to get up every morning and march in uniform, what he did as a player, what he did as a coach there, what he was a part of, pretty remarkable stuff. But his recruiting prowess everywhere he's been is the first thing people talk about with Chris Lemonis. But I think that underscores the fact that he is a brilliant baseball tactician as well. And all he's ever done in the 3 programs that he has been a part of at the collegiate Division I level is win, win, and win. At the University of Indiana, he has led the Indiana Hoosiers to 3 regionals in the last 4 years. Keep this in mind. In their 100-plus year history of baseball, when he got there, they had been to 3 regionals in 100-plus years. He's been to 3 in the last 4. Pretty special stuff. At Louisville, you can't even explain what he was the architect of. He brought first and second round talent, a bunch of them, to a place that had never seen first and second round talent. He's been to the College World Series as a coach 3 times, and he helped architect a 4th trip to the College World Series for Louisville the year after he left, because every player on their field was recruited by Chris Lemonis. He played in a College World Series at the Citadel in 1990. I know that because I played the 1990 College World Series for Mississippi State, and the whole time I'm thinking, how in the heck, and nothing against the Citadel, Chris, how in the heck did these guys get here? Once I met Chalport, the legendary Chalport, who Chris had the honor of playing for, and once I got the chance to really visit with Chris, I'm like, okay, I know how they got here. These guys work at it. They get players they probably shouldn't get. They put in the extra hours to get to the highest level of college baseball. As a hitting instructor and game manager, I think Chris is one of the best in the entire country, and he is going to surround himself, in my opinion, with the best coaching staff, the best recruiting staff, the best supplemental staff of any staff in the entire country, because that's what this program deserves. It's what this program demands. As Dr. Keenum just mentioned, this program is all about championships. Briefly, I just want to reiterate what Dr. Keenum said, and By the way, it's a privilege to work for him every day at this great university. He is by far and away the best president in America. And I don't know how many people realize that, but he just does an incredible job here every day. But I do want to recognize Chris's wife, Jill, and Marissa, and Kenzie for being here. I know it's an incredibly important day for their family. It's an incredible day, important day for our family as well. But after saying all that, I want to introduce you to the 18th head baseball coach at Mississippi State University, Mr. Chris Lemonis.